Okay, it is Friday, and I am bringing you our final lesson in this writing skills unit. We will be beginning a new scheme of learning next week. So this is our final kind of allocated hour to perfect our writing skills. Okay, so today our title is Perfecting Writing Skills. So what I would love you to do is on your piece of paper or the screen in front of you, we need to just record our date. It's the 15th of January, 2021. So write down the 15th of January 2021 and a clear title underlined, Perfecting Writing Skills. Okay, so that's our kind of third. We want our title, we want it underlined, we want the date, and we are going to be thinking, if we're handwriting, about the clarity of writing today. This is our final draft, so everything has to be practically perfect. Okay, I want you to channel your inner Mary Poppins. All right, we're going for practically perfect in every way today. And we're not simply writing today, we're upgrading. Now, no, every pun intended, because when we're thinking about upgrading, we can think about a metaphorical kind of upgrade in life, where suddenly we get something better than we expected. But we can also think in terms of writing. The things I'm going to ask you to do today potentially could up your grade. That in a real exam, some of the things I'm just going to draw attention to would make the difference between grades for some students, okay, for all students actually. So we're also not just simply writing today, we're upgrading. Now, before we start thinking about our individual pieces of work, I would just like to help us think about ourselves as better writers by understanding the value of revision and redrafting. In other words, no piece of work is produced like kind of spontaneously without needing intentional crafting and planning. And that is the journey, the stages we've been on. We started with an intentional plan, we looked at sentence levels, and we've been building up to paragraphs. And the value of that process, the value then of planning what we write, means that when it comes to revising and redrafting our writing, okay, that we are in a really good place to get a practically perfect piece of writing. Now, this is not just me saying it because I'm hoping it. This is not me just saying and willing it, that if I say it enough, you're going to do a great piece of writing, it will happen. I actually have proof that you have already been doing amazing bits of writing. So today we're just going to start with a bit of whole class feedback. Now, each piece of writing we're going to see is students' work. Now, a quick disclaimer, all these students have been working at home. They've not been in the school at all. They've been working using all the same materials made available to us, and they have produced some wonderful work. So let's just start with this whole class feedback, and let's just celebrate number one, this first piece here, okay? So all winter and summer they sleep, waiting for autumn to come and the leaves to fall, signifying the start of harvest, bringing hard work and slavery to these unsafe machinists. The silver of the smaller corrugated cylinders was slowly turning black, a gentle reminder of their desperation for renovation. Two taller cylinders loomed high behind them, standing stoic and taking on the role of the only ships in the sea of wheat. Now, I wrote down here some of the things I want to draw attention to, although I could have just talked about it, but I think it's really good just to pause and to celebrate here. Now, the first thing I want to just celebrate is evidence of control. This student, she will remain nameless at choice, but she did a wonderful job. We've got this clear evidence of control. We're going to talk about control in a bit more detail in a minute, but when we're talking about control, we're looking at our boundaries. Okay, sounds strange, but writing needs boundaries. We need clear markers of where things begin and things end. Otherwise, we lose our reader. And there is evidence here of clear capitalization, full stops, and within those sentences, punctuation as well. Lovely evidence of control. Each sentence is a complete idea with those clear boundaries guiding us through. Now, I have to be honest, there's some beautifully creative use of adjectives as well. I love the opening use of the verb sleep there, that lovely personification. All winter and summer they sleep. So this was which picture? Can you think just based on this beautiful description? Because I can see it. I don't even have to show you the picture, isn't it? It's that beautiful image of the grain elevators. So we've also got, which I love towards the end, the the use of that extended metaphor, ship and sea. So I'm not going to lie, this is a student, a wonderful student who has been watching and following the lessons and being a bit inspired by what we've seen, as well as making the ideas their own. So this was the middle paragraph you were directed to write, where you would zoom in and describe an element of the object in detail. And those are the ones we're celebrating today, okay? So that was candidate number 1. Now this one, are we ready? So this was another student. This was again another beautiful example of your work, which makes me smile because it shows me how brilliantly you are following through the lessons, following the directions, and actually producing something really good. So the grain elevators too can be seen from great distances. 5 huge cylinders stand at the front. They seem to be made of rusting aluminium. They are overlooked by 2 larger cylinders behind, but nothing compares to the towering building behind. During the winter, it's all gone quiet. Harvest season is gone, and now it's their time to rest. Spring, however, harvest season begins once again, and you can hear the churning of the mysterious machinery that lay inside the building, sorry. They churn all day and night until September arrives once again. The tower stands like a giant, overlooking the ongoing wheat plains that don't stop for miles on end. The machinery inside roars all during spring and summer, then September comes and it turns cold. That time to rest. I love it. These guys, right. Do you know why I love this? Because I'm actually really enjoying reading about machinery. There is something about the way that these are written, and these are not, and these are students they've done this all by themselves, just following it. It makes me really happy. So this is a wonderful piece. So thank you very much. Now, what am I celebrating here? Look at this extended detailed description. That's what we were really trying to achieve with this paragraph, looking at one object, zooming in and bringing it to life in detail. And this person, Lottie Richards, achieves this beautifully. Okay, such a good piece. Each sentence is a complete idea. We've got the clear use of boundaries to mark those moments, capital letters, full stop. And again, the creativity and choice of details, the use of adjectives, the alliteration of mysterious machinery, the beautiful sense of rusting aluminium. And what I really like about this one is the challenge of this task was to describe the object at 2 different times, so how it might change over time. And you've got this beautiful image between the seasons, and it's all gone now, and it's their time to rest. So wonderful. Okay, now in terms of moving forward, clear identification of objects, we're going to talk at some things for all of us to move us forward. This is all about celebrating you at this moment. Okay, now this one again, just to show different approaches. Okay, this student, lovely student, took just each of the prompts for each sentence at this stage, one at a time. Now, this is why we're redrafting and revising today, because there's going to be something that means we take everything we've got, everything we've achieved, and we give it one last upgrade. We give one last push to bring all the 3 paragraphs together. Now, the thresher too can be heard from great distances. The green thresher shimmers around the field of wheat, chopping every last stalk, and dumping them in its back. You only see the thresher in the late summer months as the wheat grows, through, ready to be harvested in the summer. The bright blue, a cloudless blanket stretching around the earth, went as far as the eye could see in all directions. The wheat, a golden brown, covered the land for miles in each and every direction. So what I loved about this one, I just wanted to celebrate and draw attention to, is where we started. We started with this challenge to write a positives and create landscape description. And sentence 4 and 5 here move out of the object to kind of hit that landscape again, to create that link to landscape. And again, what I really love here is the appositives. Remember, we've got bright blue, a cloudless blanket stretching around the earth. We've got the clear focus on the object. We immediately know she's describing the thresher, so that lovely directing and focusing of the reader. We've got punctuation within sentences to create fluency, and we do have that lovely point of change and comparison. Yep, we can see as we redraft, we might want to make sure our capitals are in place, and there would be some places that we would bring just the fluency. We'd turn it from sentences labeled 1 to 5 to a paragraph. But I just want to start by feeding back to you. I've said whole class here, but really we're working as a whole year group at the moment. A huge thank you. Not only do I appreciate that you've been working so hard, but I'm so pleased to read some of these descriptions. They're amazing. Now, that reminds us then of what we're all going to do moving forward today. Okay. Oh, sorry, and there was one last one. I forgot this last one. It was really good too. You cannot ignore the storm that is brewing. Its dark clouds edging forward slowly, mocking the land as shadows consume it. So what I loved about this one, it's almost like this lovely personification of the weather. Okay, so each of the ones we've looked at take the different images as well. We've got the thresher, we've got the cylinders. This is the one with the storm cloud. As September draws to a close, you can only expect this. The shadows tear away at the land, hoping to find anything to bring doom and gloom upon. The clouds just watch by as this happens, a little smile on its face. So I love this. This is like personifying the cloud as if it's something quite dark, quite sinister. So creates the atmosphere we're going for really well. So all of these examples, we had work there from Sean, from Megan, from Lottie. They were really powerful examples of what I wanted to achieve with this unit. This is not about writing whole stories. This was about really crafting description that is evocative and really helps us to imagine where we are. Now, I know you might be saying, but Miss Doidge, you didn't see my work. My teacher saw my work. So I'm not being deliberately favoring my class, but I just wanted to use them as representative examples of some beautiful work. And this is why I love English. I love to read creative stuff. And these pieces really, really made me smile. You can't see my face, but I'm smiling. I think these were wonderful. Okay, but for all of us then, if I haven't seen your work yet, these are the 4 things that I really want us to focus on. I want to make a distinction today between control and creativity. So there are some people out there that are naturally technically accurate, but they might need to address creativity. There are some people out there that are so creative but lack control. So I just want to make a distinction. Now we're going to use this. This is our whole class feedback. These are the areas that I want you to really address in your final kind of approach to writing today. Okay, so number 1, sentence control means that each sentence you have written is a complete idea. Now all of the ones I've shown you today achieve this, which was brilliant. Sentence control means that each sentence has clear boundaries. Now, I love the idea of punctuation is a boundary marker. Okay, now we sometimes get all funny about punctuation. We think somebody's trying to control us. We think it's invaluable. We think it's an add-on. But actually, it's about demarcation of space. It's about boundaries. Punctuation creates the right boundary in the right place. And a little quick aside note, I'm a bit addicted to Channel 5 dogs behaving badly. And there was one about the importance of boundaries. Creating clear boundaries creates the right space within which people can kind of understand what you're saying. So boundaries are really important in all aspects of life, including our writing. So how do we create those boundaries in our writing? It's the most simple thing to begin with. We create boundaries with a capital letter to mark the beginning of an idea and end stop punctuation to mark the end. So one of the things I want you to be really mindful of today and intentional about is control. As you're rereading your writing and improving it today, does each sentence have a complete idea? Are there clear boundaries in place? Now we could see, because the students that I've shown you today have been drafting, yet they are pretty close to a Mary Poppins moment, not quite yet. Sometimes you had the clear boundaries at the beginning of the sentences. Sentences were beginning with capitals. Some didn't have the capitals. Some had punctuation at the end, some didn't. And it's a really quick moment of control. But those boundaries are really important. So part of what I'm going to direct you to do today is to look at your boundaries and to check control. Okay, number 3, sentence control means that you have no run-on sentences. Now, what do we mean by a run-on sentence? A bit like a run-on speaker. Okay, sometimes I talk too much. Sometimes I speak quickly and I don't stop, and there's no boundaries to mark when my ideas end, and we kind of feel like it's running on, and you might just want me to stop, and you might be thinking, no, miss, no, stop. Run-on sentences. Now, run-on sentences when we speak quite naturally occur. But because of beautiful stuff like body language, somebody stood in front of you making a face, we learn when we've spoken too much, unless we're really bad at reading body language and we just don't really care the messages people are sending us. But in our relationships, in our conversations, we've learned when we've been talking too long. We can see. Probably if I could see you now, I've been talking for quite a bit, eyes are glazing over. So I'm just going to stop. I'm going to ask you to stand up, turn around, touch your nose. No. But sometimes we do the same in our writing. Our ideas run on. We lose control of the boundaries. We don't put full stops into mark and end of an idea where we should. And it feels like somebody has just been talking to us over and over and over and over and over again. And we've lost control. So really, run-on sentences are a part of marking clear boundaries in our writing. Okay, and to help with that, we've said that boundaries can be marked at the end of sentences, but sentence control means as well using punctuation within sentences to improve the fluency. So we want boundaries, we want clear end and start points to our writing, but within sentences, we also want fluency. Okay, and we're going to look at that very briefly today. Right, we also want creativity. Sentence creativity means using different sentence types, questions, commands, statements, exclamations. Sentence creativity means you use different sentence lengths. Now, we did ask, or we had a lesson on the sentence types at the beginning, maybe just including a question, an exclamation mark, can be a quick way to achieve the creativity. Sentence creativity means you can use different sentence lengths, a short, focused sentence and a longer sentence. Sentence creativity means you begin your sentences in different ways. Now, this is a difficult one because some people have complete control. So one of the examples we saw had beautiful control. Every sentence had clear boundary markers, capital letter, full stop. But there was a group of sentences that began with the subject, the towers, the object. So actually a challenge could be to achieve creativity is to think about beginning your sentences in different ways. And we did look at this with the subordinating conjunction lesson. If you include a sentence that has a subordinating conjunction in it, after, whilst, because. But you can do it in other ways. You can restructure a sentence so that it begins with adjectives. You can begin sentences with ly words. And finally, we saw some beautiful examples in the writing of this. Sentence creativity means you use appositives within sentences. So that's a lovely way to create creativity. That's why I was pausing in my head. Okay, so you've been listening for a long time now, but I thought it was really important to celebrate the amazing work, and to hear it read out loud just highlights how good people are doing in this module, how good they're doing with their writing. So we're going to do a short, quick activity on run-on sentences, and then the rest of today's lesson is time for you to create a practically perfect Mary Poppins piece of work. Okay, so, but we are going to do a little starter activity just to get us thinking about these run-on sentences. Okay, so the first thing is, I just want to recap with you what makes a sentence. So we've said that we're looking for sentence control and sentence creativity in your work. Those are the main things your teacher's going to be looking for and feeding back on. But actually, what makes a sentence? So a sentence has to have a subject, verb, and object. So in a minute, I just want you to pause and to write down that what makes a sentence? Well, a sentence has a subject, verb, and object in it. The subject is the person, place, or thing carrying out the action. The verb is the action, the thing that they do. And the object is the thing to which the action is carried out upon. So look at this one. The man opened the door. So the subject can tell us who or what. Who opened the door? What did you say? Who opened the door? The man. So the who or the what tells us the subject. If I said to you, what did the man do? What did the man do? He opened the door. So the answer to what did he do focuses on the verb. And if I said, well, what did he open? The door. That directs us towards the object. Okay, so just pause there, quickly write down subject, verb, and object. That's what every sentence has to have. So when we're saying our sentences need to be controlled, they need to have a complete idea, every sentence that you've written should have a subject, verb, and potentially an object within it. So just pause there and write those down. Okay, so subject, verb, and object. So just to add to that then, in terms of our sentences, here are some rules. So if a unit of information makes complete sense as a sentence, you must end it with a full stop. Okay? You can or you must use a conjunction to connect it to the next bit of information. Or you can use a semicolon to connect it to the next bit of information. So when we're looking today at our writing and we want to achieve sentence control, we have to make sure that the unit of information makes sense and that there's a clear boundary marker, either a full stop to say this is the end of my idea. Or if you want to connect it to the next idea, we can use a conjunction. So remember, we did the work on subordinate conjunctions. Whilst, because, if, or, but can be used, but they're coordinating conjunctions. You can use a semicolon to connect it to the next bit of information. So the man opened the door. We've used a full stop there. The man opened the door. If we wanted to connect it to the next bit of information using a conjunction, I just want you to verbally tell me, the man opened the door because. So what reason could we give? And then we're extending, we're creating the conjunction because to complete the idea. What can we go with? The man opened the door because the doorbell rang. The man opened the door because the dog was barking to go out. The man opened the door because he wanted to. So we can use conjunctions. Now, just to show that one again, use a conjunction to connect it to the next bit of information. The man opened the door and what could we do there? The man opened the door and stepped outside. The man opened the door and smiled. So we've got ways to connect. Now you could have used a semicolon rather than a connective. So we could have said, the man opened the door, semicolon, he stepped outside. Okay, so that's going to be some of the things when you're looking at your writing that I want you to be checking for. Now, this is what we're going to avoid. Okay, so again, when we're rereading our writing today, what we're going to avoid so we can make sure we've got control. You must avoid running one sentence into the next. Now, when you're at home, you've got no audience other than yourself. Maybe, okay, I appreciate you might have other members of your family there. You might have a pet. But the reason I say that is one of the ways to see whether you are running one sentence into the next is to read your work out loud. If you're reading your work, read to the punctuation. So every time you see punctuation in your own writing that's already there, that you've already included, intentionally use that to direct your reading. So if it's a full stop, pause. If it's a comma, a shorter pause. If you find that when you're reading your work out loud, you don't stop and you don't pause, you're running one sentence into the next. Now, although we can use and, we've got so much choice that overusing and to join lots of sentences together undermines your writing. So again, when you're looking at your own writing today, if you find that you've got lots of and, something's gone wrong. Now, the way that you can begin to deal with those ands is ask yourself, should that and become a full stop? Actually, should I focus on that one idea? Could it become a semicolon? How can I increase the fluency? And sometimes we use commas in a similar way where we should have full stops or semicolons. Now, we're just going to do a couple of activities to practice this. Okay, and then we're going to have half an hour writing time. So let's have a little look. So next to each number is a run-on sentence. So this is the sort of sentence, if you were reading this out loud in your own work, you'd be getting out of breath. They are called run-on sentences because they really are more than one sentence. Can you fix up the run-ons by either putting in full stops and capitals to create simple sentences? So in a minute, I'm going to ask you to pause and to rewrite number 1 to 3 so that you're thinking about where you would create simple sentences. Okay, Anna hit the ball very hard. The ball went over the fence. The kid cheers for Anna. Whoa, I'm exhausted. Where would I use boundary markers? Where do I need to start to put boundaries into this sentence so that it stops running on and it becomes clear marks of ends and beginnings? Where would you do it? Look at number 2. A man got out of his car. It had a flat tire. The man was not very happy. Whoa, where are we going to start to bring in our boundaries? Where are you going to start slowing me down, directing me as your reader to pause and stop? Number 3. Tom watched the boat sail up the river. His favourite boat went by at 3 o'clock. It had 2 big sails. Again, whoa, too much information. So you're going to pause and you're going to just decide, first of all, by editing somebody else's work that's not your own, where would you begin to put in your full stops and your capitals to create simple sentences? Now, you might end up with 1, 2, or 3 simple sentences to create control, but you're going to decide. I'll see you in a minute with the answers. Okay, guys, just to do the feedback, I've made my screen smaller because I just want to talk you through and do some changes as we talk. So let's have a look then. So Anna hit the ball very hard. So the ball went over the fence. The kids cheered for Anna. So we take sentence number 1, that run-on sentence, and we've begun to put in our full stops as control points. So we're beginning to control the game. We're beginning to control the reader. The ideas are under control. Now, just to double check. So Anna tells us the subject. So who hit the ball very hard? Anna. Now, remember, what did Anna do? What's the verb then that tells us what Anna did? Okay, hit. Brilliant. So Anna hit just can't remember. So it was blue and then green. So Anna hit. What does she hit? The ball. So there's your object. Now, the reason I'm just showing you this, you don't have to do this in your own work, but if you didn't find you put the breaks in the right place as we're looking at this might be why. So Anna hit the ball very hard. So that comes to a complete idea. Now, in this subject then, sentence, the subject changes. So we're looking for the who or the what as the main idea. The verb is going to tell us the action, what it did, and the object might tell us where. So let's start with, what do we think the subject shifted to in this sentence? Yeah, the ball. Brilliant. So the ball becomes the who or what. So who or what is the main subject of the sentence, the ball. What did the ball do, guys? It went over the fence. Okay, and in this last bit, the kids cheered for Anna. So now we've got new subjects. So who is the subject? Good, it's the kids. Now, what are the kids doing? Cheering. Who are they cheering for? Now, it's Anna, isn't it? So Anna in this sentence has become the object. Now, why is she not the subject? Because she's not doing anything. If it was Anna cheered, then it would be that Anna was still the subject. So the subject is always attached to the verb. The subject does the action. So the subject is doing the cheering. The subject is doing the hitting. The subject is doing the going over, the wending over. So when we are trying to decide, the first thing I want to show you today, you can see that in each sentence, the subject does shift. It doesn't always have to be about Anna. Anna starts in the subject, then it shifts to the ball, and then it shifts to the kids. Okay, so this can be a really good activity if you're deciding for yourself with your run-on sentences, do I need more control? So I'm not going to color code the next two, but we are just going to very quickly show you where the marks are. So a man got out of his car. It had a flat tire. The man was not very happy. So if you've got those done, give yourself a tick. Tom watched the boat sail up the river. His favourite boat went by at 3 o'clock. It had 2 big sails. Brilliant. Now, we know that that's control. That's accurate. Is it creative? No, because it lacks fluency. We've not got the appositives, the adjectives. So creativity comes after control. Okay, you get the control in place. You get everything as it should be. And then you bring in the creativity. Okay, so once we've thought about the control, the technical accuracy, we've got the boundaries in place, we can then use the creativity and fluency fixes to again revise and improve our sentences. So it's taking sentences that already might need other fixing, some greater degrees of control, and thinking about how can I make them creative? How can I add fluency? Because that takes us beyond the control element. Because we can be accurate and controlled, but our writing can stay simple and quite safe and quite pedestrian. So if we look at our options, we can create creativity and fluency by using coordinating conjunctions to link ideas, and, but, or, so. We can use subordinating conjunctions, because, which, whilst. We can use colons, for example, to introduce lists, semicolons to separate clauses. We can use adjectives, ly words, ing words at the start of sentences. We can use appositives. that list could go on. We can use similes, we can use personification. Anything that takes our writing beyond the accurate and the controlled really is creative. So we've got 3 sentences here. The boy ran down the street. He did not want to be late for school. The boy got up. He sat on his bed. The girl ran back into the room. She looked for her coat. She'd left her keys in her coat pocket. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to press escape. Literally not trying to escape my house, but I just want to model one of these with you, and then I'm going to ask you to do one, and then it'll be over to you to work on your own writing. So if we look at number 1, the boy ran down the street. He did not want to be late for school. So actually we've got a comma there, and it could work better. Our fluency would work better because we could go for a because. So that's me picking off my using one of those to fix a sentence to make it more fluid. Okay, the boy ran down the street because he did not want to be late for school. Okay, now let's have a little look at what else we could do. So it's not that you put all 5 of these into a sentence at any given time, so we see what works. So I do like this challenge to begin sentences in creative ways using maybe adjectives, an IL word, ing words. So we could go real simple. Quickly, the boy ran down the street because he did not want to be late. So that's us beginning with an ly word. We're creating variation, we're doing creativity. Now, quickly, the boy. Now, let's see if we could also then use an appositive. So if you remember, it's going to tell us, it's going to rename the boy. Now, it can begin with the, a, and. So the boy. So let's think, what could we reveal about the boy? Now, if you remember our postmistress, she was gaunt and thin. So we could say quickly, the boy. Why is he? Okay, so maybe quickly, the boy ran down the street because he did not want to be late to school. So quickly, the boy. What year are you guys in? So we could just say quickly, the boy, a year 9 student, ran down. Now, I don't like that positive. I was suddenly having a brain melt. Now, do you ever get that when you're trying to think of an idea inside your head and your brain melts out your ears and your eyes and you can't actually think or see anything? So, guys, I've gone from a simple sentence that was a run-on and I've started to change it. Quickly, the boy, a year 9 student, ran down the street because he did not want to be late for school. I've used the appositive, cha-ching. I've used an ly, cha-ching. Now, the cha-ching is my upgrade sound. It means my grade is going up every time I make these changes. I've used a subordinate conjunction, cha-ching. Now, the boy got up. He sat on his bed. Now, if we were looking at some of these other things, now we could start simple. The boy got up and he sat on his bed. So we could go cha-ching. Okay, I've just upscaled my sentence. That means that I've done something better than I had before. Okay, the boy got up and he sat on his bed. Now I'm just trying to pick up some of these others. So let's have a look then. We could try and use a colon to introduce a list. Okay, we could try and maybe begin with adjectives or an ing word. Okay, so what do we do in the morning when we get out of bed? I'm doing it now. I'm stretching my arms. So stretching his arms. So I've begun with an ing word. Hello, change. Stretching his arms. The boy got up and he sat on his bed. Now, I've made that change. So I've now begun with an ing word. Now, I'm just going to go back to my appositive here. So stretching his arms, the boy. Now with appositives, we can be creative. Guys, can you think of an animal that moves really slowly, is really lazy in a stereotypical way, but definitely moves really slowly? Kind of unfurls from the tree, it moves branch by branch. Do you know what animal I'm thinking of? A sloth. Stretching his arms, the boy, a sloth in striped pajamas. So actually, looking at that, and I've got my creative appositive. So the next step I want you to do, look at number 3. The girl ran back into the room. She looked for her coat. She had left her keys in her pocket. I just want you to rewrite number 3, trying to put in some of these creativity and fluency fixes, because if you can correct and improve somebody else's writing, it makes it easier when we look at our own. Okay, so just give yourself a couple of minutes just to change number 3. You're going to correct and complete it, and then we'll explain the last bit of today's lesson. Okay, so now, guys, it is over to you. You have got in proof. I've seen the proof. I've been looking at paragraphs. I know if you've been with us on this journey from the start, you've got paragraph 1. Whoa, sweeping panoramic description of the landscape. In other words, your chosen picture. I should read your paragraph 1 and go, wow, I can see. They're helping me see the landscape of that picture or that picture. Paragraph 2, you are zooming in to describe an object or thing from the picture in more detail. We have seen that in action at the start of this lesson. Amazing, amazing, amazing examples of that. Okay? And paragraph 3, yesterday's lesson, a character description. So that's what we've got so far. So guys, your final job is you are going to return to your descriptive writing. As you read it, and I said reading out loud can help, check for run-on sentences, check for your accuracy. Ask yourself, is each sentence offering a complete idea? Is it clearly signposted using capital letters at the start and punctuation at the end? Are there any words that you've overused that could be changed? Can you rewrite your description to show these changes and to provide a practically perfect example of descriptive writing? Now, this is going to be used as your assessment this week. So if your teacher doesn't get any of this writing, you get a 3. Okay? If your teacher gets 2 paragraphs, you could probably get a 2. If your teacher gets all of it and it's evidence that you have taken the task, that you have worked and redrafted, you could be looking for a 1. So you are going to return to your descriptive writing. You've got some guides there to help you make sure that you can check that your writing is controlled and creative, and you are going to send to your teacher a practically perfect piece of writing. Okay, guys? Thank you.